So George Pickens, the ex-wide receiver of the Pittsburgh Steelers, this guy behind me, was recently seen with this guy in public. And a lot of rumors are now flying as to whether or not the Raiders are interested in doing a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers for their ex-wide receiver, who is in the last year of his rookie contract and has shown some discontent with the Pittsburgh Steelers. All that and more on today's episode of the Raider D podcast. Thank you so much for being back here. And if this is your first time, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you've been here a million times and you still haven't hit the subscribe button, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button if you like daily Raiders content. Now, guys, I do want to preface today's video with the fact that there is a lot of rumors going on in the NFL about every single team out there. And the Raiders are just one of those teams that have the rumor mill flying. So anytime Tom Brady has a photo op with anybody in the NFL, especially if they are an active player in the NFL, the rumor mill just begins. And I just want to preface this way. My source that I speak to with the Las Vegas Raiders in the front office, he has not said anything about George Pickens and has not heard anything about George Pickens coming to the Las Vegas Raiders in a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers. However, that being said, there are others out there who have proposed that the Raiders would be a good fit for Pickens and that Pittsburgh may want to move off of him because of the fact that they just went and traded for DK Metcalf and gave him a blockbuster deal. Now, Pickens is the odd man out on this crew. So who is George Pickens and why would this make sense for the Raiders to go out and trade for him? And how much would it cost to get George Pickens here and solve our ex-wide receiver problem? We're going to get into each and every single one of those. But first, I do just want to say thank you so much to Vtoman. Thank you so much to Vtoman. Can't speak today. Thank you so much to Vtoman for sponsoring today's video. Guys, as I have said before, if you've been here in the past, you know I can't run out here in the middle of nowhere. We are 100% off grid and I cannot run the cabin. I can't run the new studio that we're currently building piece by piece because I'm also using it as my office temporarily because we're very short on space, even though we got a lot of land. We don't have a lot of structure yet, and so we're building all that out. So Vtoman Solar has been integral in us being able to even record these videos and post them because without them, we have no electricity. So if you're looking to get solar panels, if you're looking to get a solar generator, an all-in-one inverter, generator, battery, go and check out the Jump 1800. Go check out their 1500. Go check out their 1000 watt solar generator that they have. All of these have specific use cases, like if you are out on a job site, if you're a contractor like me, if you're out going to the beach or a picnic with the family and you want some portable power, the Jump 1800, the 1500, they're smaller units. These are all fantastic. They also have car jumpers as well, so you got to check those out. I'm going to leave links to everything down below, so please go and check them out if you do want to get into some solar generator or solar panels. They are Raider D approved. Again, thank you, Vtoman, for being a sponsor of the channel. Now let's get into who is George Pickens. George Pickens was drafted a few years ago to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was a second-round draft pick. I believe he was number 52 overall, and he was a five-star recruit going into college. The kid is 6'3", 200 pounds. He runs a 4.4 40, so that's very good for a wide receiver of his size and caliber. And he's got great hands, great route running, and the dude is a playmaker. Now, he's only had 2 seasons where he's had over 1,000 yards, but that being said, I mean, he's been close. He's been close. His rookie year, he had like 800 yards. Last year, he had like 900 yards. So each year he's been close. But let's be honest, Pittsburgh really hasn't had a quarterback to throw him the ball. When last season, George Pickens was upset a lot with Justin Fields due to the fact that he wasn't getting the ball because Justin Fields would just take off and run with it a lot of times. Now, Justin Fields certainly improved last year with Pittsburgh, but he still by far was not a top tier passing quarterback. And so now with all the fluctuation and everything that is going with the quarterback situation, Pickens simply wants out from, according to sources close to him. And the fact that he could end up with the Raiders would solve a very big problem. And as good as George Pickens is, there are a downside to him. There are some behavioral issues that have been reported about him and some attitude issues, some not getting along with players type of issues. Now, a lot of this stuff gets completely overblown, and what is actually out there in the media usually is garbage. Let's take Shedeur Sanders as a quick example. Does Shedeur Sanders have a drinking problem? No. Does he have a drug problem? No. Does he get in car wrecks at 150 miles an hour? No. So why does Shedeur Sanders have a bad reputation of off the field issues? Because he puts his wrist up with a Rolex? Because he's got swagger? Because he's got confidence? And this is what I'm talking about, how the media will just blow up these stories and make these players seem to be like, the NFL version of a Karen, when in reality, they're really not like that at all. So I don't know George Pickens personally. I don't know anybody who does. And I don't really tend to believe the rumors about people's personality disorders until I actually experience it for myself, because I know a lot of it gets overblown. Therefore, I'm going to go ahead and put that stuff aside. I think that Tom Brady is a good judge of character. I think John Spytek and Pete Carroll, great judges of character. And listen, they brought DK Metcalf. They traded for him and gave him a blockbuster deal, over $100 million, right? And DK Metcalf has the same thing of having attitude problems, getting into too many penalties on the field, all this stuff, but he doesn't get into trouble off the field. So same thing with George Pickens. So I'm going to ignore that part, and I'm just going to look at his big play ability and the fact that he is a true X wide receiver in the NFL. So what would it cost to get him here on his last year of his contract from the Pittsburgh Steelers? And that's going to be a hefty price. Now, they're probably going to ask for a first-round draft pick. However, if you look at the trade that just happened with DK Metcalf, it was not a first-round draft pick, and I don't think that Pickens would deserve a first-round draft pick at all. I think that if you went out to Pittsburgh and said, listen, we'll give you a second and a third next year, I think you could make a deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers and you have your X wide receiver. Now, why would you do that when you have a guy like Ted McMillan out of Arizona, who's a true X wide receiver, would be on a rookie contract, doesn't have any so-called off the field issues, and would be a lot cheaper? And most likely will fall to the Raiders at pick number 6. Now, it's not guaranteed, but it is a high probability that he will be available at pick number 6. Well, you do that if you're intending to do what a lot of other inside reports are saying, is that Coach Pete Carroll wants to draft Ashton Jeanty. He is sold on Ashton Jeanty at pick number 6 because Ashton Jeanty he's a generational player. There's no doubt about it. And when he gets to the NFL, this dude will be a perennial top 3, if not the best running back in the NFL year after year for at least 3, 4, 5 years. And that's the way that Pete Carroll likes to have his team set up. A heavy, strong, dynamic, generational running back, a quarterback that is very smart and accurate with the ball and can be mobile. And there's your blueprint for Pete Carroll. So I think it makes sense for the Raiders to do this if that is the plan. If their plan is just to go and draft Shedeur Sanders if he's there at pick number 6 because Mark Davis wants him, then I'm not all for that. But if it is to get Ashton Jeanty, you're not going to go wide receiver at the first round at pick number 6. You're going to go generational. Then it makes a lot of sense. But how much would it cost a long-term restructured contract with George Pickens? Well, if you look at T. Higgins, he is a comparable wide receiver. You're going to give him a 4-year, $100 million plus deal, and he's going to be making over $30 million a year. The Raiders have the salary cap to do it. George Pickens is going to be a 1,000-yard plus guy with Geno Smith, no doubt about it. And I think that George Pickens is going to be able to take a lot of the heat off of Brock Bowers. And this is really going to help the offense if you have Ashton Genty running the ball, Brock Bowers being a beast in the middle, George Pickens taking people apart, Jacoby Myers going back to the slot position, picking people apart, and Trey Tucker taking the top off of the field. You now have a dynamic offense, and I just think that at this point right now, it would make a lot of sense. Will it happen? I don't know. I'm not making any predictions here. I have no inside sources with it, but I will say this. If you haven't hit the subscribe button and the like button by now, but you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and do so right now, and I'll see you guys in the next Raiders video, baby. Just win.